From the moment we're born, we're taught to communicate with the world around us. A simple cry for our mother's warmth and comfort. As we grow, our methods evolve, becoming more intricate, more complex, more advanced. But what happens when this tool, this lifeline, becomes twisted and sinister? When the familiar ring, the reassuring buzz, sends shivers down our spines and fills us with dread? Tonight we delve into the dark side of communication, the eerie unknown. We explore the chilling tales of phone calls that transformed lives forever, leaving an indelible mark. The suburbs, a picture of tranquility. But beneath the veneer of peace, a nightmare unfolds. A young woman, Sarah, tasked with the care of a sleeping family, settles in for the night. The house is still, the only sound, the gentle tick of the grandfather clock in the hall. Then the phone rings. A wrong number, perhaps. But the calls persist, each one laced with a chilling silence, a heavy breathing that sends shivers down Sarah's spine. Fear claws at her throat. Each unanswered ring amplifies the tension. The calls escalate, the voice on the other end a guttural whisper, uttering threats, toying with her, promising her a fate worse than death. Her heart pounds against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of the house. She's trapped alone with every ring of the phone. The unseen terror draws closer. They say our homes are our castles, our sanctuaries. But what happens when the walls that protect us become the very walls that imprison us? Emily, a successful photographer, finds herself living this nightmare. At first, it's just a feeling, a prickle on the back of her neck, the sense of being watched. Then come the calls, hang-ups at first, but they escalate. A voice, disguised yet chillingly familiar, whispering threats, revealing intimate details of her life. Fear becomes her constant companion. She's meticulous, checking locks, installing security systems, but the calls continue, each one a violation, a reminder that she's not alone, that he's always there, lurking in the shadows. One day the phone rings, but it's not her phone. It's coming from inside the house. He's already inside. Chapter 3. The wrong number. A wrong number. A common occurrence, easily dismissed. Most of us have experienced it, a brief moment of confusion, then we move on. But sometimes a wrong number can lead to something far more sinister. For one man, this seemingly trivial event spirals into a haunting experience he can't escape. It begins innocuously enough, but soon it becomes a nightmare that will forever change his life. John, a quiet accountant, receives a call one evening. The phone rings, cutting through the silence of his dimly lit apartment. He answers, expecting a mundane conversation or perhaps a telemarketer. Instead, he hears a voice on the other end, frantic and desperate. It's a woman, her tone filled with terror, pleading for help. Her words are disjointed, but the urgency in her voice is unmistakable. Static crackles on the line, obscuring her words, but her terror is palpable. John strains to understand, catching fragments of her desperate plea. The interference only adds to the eerie atmosphere. He tries to hang up, to dismiss it as a prank, but something compels him to listen. There's a sincerity in her fear that he can't ignore. He feels a strange connection, a responsibility to help. The woman reveals she's being held captive, giving fragmented clues to her location. Her voice trembles as she describes her surroundings, each detail painting a picture of her dire situation. Driven by a sense of urgency, John contacts the authorities, relaying the chilling conversation. He knows time is of the essence and every second counts in the race to save her. The police trace the call, leading them to an abandoned building, derelict and decaying. The structure looms ominously in the night, a stark contrast to the bustling city around it. Inside, they find evidence of a struggle, signs of a desperate fight for survival. The room is empty, but the marks of a violent encounter are clear. It's as if the walls themselves hold the memory of the terror that unfolded. The woman from the phone call is gone, vanished without a trace. The air is thick with unanswered questions, and the sense of unease is palpable. It's as if she was never there, a ghostly presence that haunts the space. John is left haunted by her desperate pleas, forever wondering about the fate of the voice on the other end of the line. The experience leaves an indelible mark on him, a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the mysteries that lurk in the shadows. Chapter 4. The Midnight Caller, the Witching Hour. A time when shadows dance and nightmares come alive. The world is cloaked in darkness, and the boundary between reality and the supernatural blurs. It's a time when the unknown becomes palpable and fear takes on a life of its own. For one young woman, the midnight hour becomes synonymous with terror. Each tick of the clock brings her closer to an encounter she dreads. Her heart races and her mind conjures up images of unseen horrors lurking in the shadows. It begins subtly, a missed call at exactly 12 a.m. The phone's screen lights up, casting an eerie glow in the dark room. She wonders who could be calling at such an ungodly hour. She dismisses it as a prank, but the calls persist night after night, the same pattern, the same chilling silence. Each ring sends a shiver down her spine, and the silence that follows is even more unsettling. Sleep becomes elusive, replaced by a gnawing dread. She lies awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with questions and fears. The once comforting darkness of her room now feels oppressive, filled with unseen threats. Then one night the caller leaves a message. Her heart pounds as she listens, hoping for an explanation, but what she hears is far from comforting. No voice, just the sound of heavy breathing, ragged and close, followed by a cacophony of screams, distant yet blood-curdling. The sounds are haunting, echoing in her mind long after the message ends. The sounds are brief, cut off abruptly as if the phone was dropped in haste. The abrupt end leaves her with more questions than answers, and a growing sense of unease. The woman is left terrified, the silence of her room now deafening, every creak of the floorboard, every rustle of wind against the window, a potential threat. She feels trapped, her sanctuary turned into a prison of fear. Who is the midnight caller? A ghost from the past? A malevolent spirit, or something even more sinister? The questions haunt her, and the answers seem just out of reach. And what do they want? The mystery deepens with each passing night, and the young woman is left to wonder if she will ever find peace again. The midnight caller remains an enigma, a shadowy presence that refuses to be ignored. Chapter 5. The Final Goodbye. Death, the ultimate end. It's a concept that has haunted humanity since the dawn of time, a shadow that looms over every life. But what if death isn't the end? What if it's just a doorway to another realm, a place where the departed can still reach out to the living? Or is it? A grieving widow receives a phone call that shatters her world, a call from beyond the grave. The voice on the other end is one she thought she'd never hear again. A voice that brings both comfort and terror. It's been a year since her husband, a police detective, was killed in the line of duty. His death left a void in her life, a wound that time has not healed. She's tried to move on, but the memories linger, a constant reminder of what she's lost. The pain is still raw, the silence in their home deafening. Every corner of the house holds a memory. Every room, a ghost of the past. She's surrounded by his absence, a presence that's both comforting and heartbreaking. Then, one stormy evening, the phone rings. It's a sound that breaks the silence, a jarring intrusion into her solitude. She hesitates, her heart pounding, as she reaches for the phone. Caller ID shows his name, his number. It's impossible, she thinks, her mind racing. How can this be? She stares at the screen, her hand trembling, unable to comprehend what she's seeing. Her blood runs cold. Trembling, she answers. The voice that greets her is unmistakable. His voice filled with urgency, warning her of imminent danger, telling her she's not safe. The voice that greets her is unmistakable. His voice filled with urgency, warning her of imminent danger, telling her she's not safe. He speaks of things she doesn't understand, secrets and conspiracies that make her head spin. He reveals a conspiracy, secrets that put her life in jeopardy. She listens in stunned silence, her mind struggling to keep up with the torrent of information. Who can she trust? What should she do? The call is short, cut off abruptly, leaving her reeling in shock and fear. She's left with more questions than answers, her mind a whirlwind of confusion and dread. Was it truly him, reaching out from beyond the veil? Or is it a cruel trick, preying on her grief? She doesn't know what to believe, her heart torn between hope and despair. Or is it a cruel trick, preying on her grief? She's left with more questions than answers, haunted by his final words, a chilling echo from beyond the grave. She's left with more questions than answers, haunted by his final words, a chilling echo from beyond the grave. She's left with more questions than answers, haunted by his final words, a chilling echo from beyond the grave. The night stretches on, filled with shadows and whispers as she grapples with the impossible. Is this the final goodbye, or just the beginning of a new nightmare? Outro, the unseen caller. The phone, a tool of connection, can quickly transform into a conduit of fear. These stories remind us that even in the safety of our homes, we are not always alone. The next time your phone rings and you don't recognize the number, will you answer? Thank you for joining us on this journey into the dark side of communication. If you enjoyed these chilling tales, be sure to like, comment and subscribe for more spine-tingling content. And remember, stay safe and be wary of the unseen caller on the other end of the line.